Max, it's great to have you on Life's Checkmark podcast. We've met back on Sonet's show, and we got to have a conversation just in that field. You know what I mean? Just talking. There was four of us, you and I included, and you mentioned some things along the lines of, a toxic relationship and getting to know people and everything, and the stuff that you're doing to help others. So we connected, and since then, we've been back and forth. So I got you here. So you're on this podcast, and I'm excited to hear what kind of journey you had going through life and where it's still going. So would you mind just sharing like a little bit about who you are and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, John, what an honor to be here. I'm excited to just have a conversation about life. And I love the fact that you give people like me, everyday people, a platform to share their stories. And maybe someone out there can connect with that and just take some inspiration from that. So thank you so much. Well, my name's Maxine. I like to be called Max because at this stage of my life, fun, being playful with life as it unfolds is definitely something that I have a lot of passion about. No different than most of your audience that I've seen on your show. I'm a mother of a lovely, sensitive boy, Sloan. I'm a daughter. I'm a business owner. I teach Kundalini yoga. I have a skincare line. But at this stage of my life, I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that I'm in my 50s, that whatever comes my way, I understand that it's happening for me and not to me. And just to retract a little bit about what has cultivated this mindset, I've gone through trauma like, most people do. When I was younger, my first husband, he was murdered. I had to raise my child alone. I did very well, sent him off to university. And I was in my 40s, and then there was something that was lacking. And, you know, um, often we are we're told what life should look like and feel like. And although I had this fabulous career, I had great friends, society tells us, well, you're a woman in your 40s, you should get married, you're not complete without that. I mean, can anyone else attest to that? So what does a professional do? They find love online. And, I picked up again. I moved to a place called Fort McMurray, Alberta. And things unfolded the way it should. I started a business. The relationship eventually was not a good fit. It was very, very toxic. And it almost did me in. But it turns out that that relationship was my biggest teacher. It showed me patterns of behavior that was not serving me well. So, I'm grateful for that experience. So now when I speak, I've been through life, I've experienced life, and I continue to experience life, but through a different set of lens. That if I can go through a husband that was murdered, a husband that was toxic, um, then I could pretty much survive anything and come out with a smile because life is here to teach us lessons, for us to learn, to grow, to thrive. And when we can take that toxicity, purify it from our heart, and use that as medicine to turn into love, then voila, your life is a masterpiece. How does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, kudos to you for going through all that and coming out to be the person that you are today. Because a lot of people wouldn't pick up and just continue moving. You know what I mean? They would just stay in that level, plateau, whatever you want to call it, and they wouldn't grow, become better for themselves. So, I'm sorry to hear about your first husband, but after he passed, I mean, what kind of thoughts and stuff were you going through your mind, as as young as you might have been. I don't know how, how long ago that was, but
Yeah. Well, I was 31 and we had a 7-year-old son, and my son Sloan was my why. So when you have something so precious and dear to you,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I have to look after my son. My son was everything. We had just moved back to Jamaica, so I was a newbie and a chef by trade. I started to sell sandwiches on the streets of New Kingston, Jamaica, which is the financial sector. And because I knew I had that little boy to take care of, I went into mama bear mode and got up, made the sandwiches, sent him to school, picked him up from school. Yeah, I was in survival mode for my child.
and so um did you were covering the work, you're providing for the child too, so you kind of took over the role as a man as well, right? In a sense.
Absolutely. I will say this, that is a very important observation, because in hindsight, looking back, what my son needed then was a mother. And what did he get? The masculine energy of becoming a provider. And that is so, that was almost like instinctual. Okay, I got to provide, not understanding that he needed to be nurtured, right? So again, that was part of my development. And I believe that a lot of women can relate to this, that, we have to tune into that masculine energy to survive, especially in the generation that I grew up with. I mean, nowadays it's totally different. It's more gender neutral. But back then, we still had to push forward as a woman, but definitely living in the masculine energy as a provider didn't serve me the best. It put food on the table, but it definitely left some scars that I'm still working on mending.
Sure, because you were out of your feminine for so long, correct? So that's tough. You're stuck. So I mean, you're still working on that, but how does one come out of being so masculine then, as a woman? I, I know it's a big question, but is there something that you could have, that you felt like you did or going through right now that kind of change that?
Absolutely. COVID. Life had to slow me down, because slowly that became my identity. Business owner.
Mm.
I took that on because I was in it so deep, doing it day in, day out. That became my identity. And it was not until COVID happened that I had to slow down and realize that the formula that I had created was not serving me, was not serving my son, was not serving my family. Because as a woman living in masculine energy, you put up barriers. The feminine energy is so beautiful. It's so powerful in its essence. It's inviting, it's nurturing. But I didn't understand what boundaries were around the feminine energy. So I had to evolve into that, and I'm still evolving. And COVID was massive. COVID was the the catalyst that started to bring me into the feminine divine, because the masculine is toxic. The masculine is exhausted. I mean, burnt out, right?
So that kind of slowed you down. That's one way for a lot of people to change. And a lot of people did change through that time, and still are maybe. No, I appreciate sharing that, because there's a lot of single mothers out there, and kudos to them, and you as well. Um, it's for setting the bar high, like say, I got this in a sense, right? But in reality, I think the child needs a masculine father figure around, whether it's permanent, um, to help support them in those other areas that the mother does not show up. You know, that's how I look at it. My sister, she does have a few kids, and they're in their teenage years now and stuff, but they didn't have their father hanging around. So they had the big brother and stuff like that. And, you know, probably people from church and everybody, you know, jumped in there every once in a while. But now they're older, they're reaching out to me. I'm their only uncle. So, you know, they're in Florida and I'm in Pennsylvania. But yeah, it's been great having some conversations with these teenagers now, you know, and they kind of look at you as a different figure as they're growing up. So I feel like they miss out on that stuff, you know, the kids. And, you know, unfortunately, I don't know if maybe you could tell me, I don't know if mothers, single moms feel that they're missing out until it's too late.
Yeah, and I can't really answer that, but I'll speak to myself.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would say that having a father figure in my son's life would have changed his balance, his confidence, his happiness, just everything, because the masculine and feminine, when they're merged together in union, it's a beautiful thing. That's the highest form of creation, right? Um, the feminine energy is that energy that nurtures you, that makes you feel love and safe. The masculine is that provider, right? So we need both, right? And unfortunately, when you don't have that male energy or that female, you just have to do your best and trust God, the universe, whoever, with the rest. And if help is offered, get help, because you never know who shows up in your life and why. So I would say that's one thing that I would do differently, is ask for more help. And when help was offered, the masculine is proud, I've got this. No, take the help. It doesn't mean that you are weak. When you accept help, it means that you're strong, you're confident. So, those are perspective that I've changed from my 30 and 40-year-old to now being in my 50s, to say, okay, nothing wrong with accepting a little bit of help.
That's a great perspective. I'm glad you shared that, because a lot of people can look at this and relate to that and not have to wait until after the fact that something happened. You know, that's great. I appreciate that. So, and then I was just curious. I know you went through a toxic relationship, but what is the term toxic relationship to you?
Yeah. Toxic relationship is two people that when they're together, they're not creating love, they're creating friction. And that relationship, we were not on the same page. And basically, when two people have not healed their traumas, their wounds, right? Negative and positive, you're gonna get friction, but negative and negative, whoa, that's toxic. And we both had a lot of healing to do. And I'm not going to say, okay, well, he was wrong and I was right, or vice versa. No, there's a reason why this person came into my life. And as I said, one of my biggest teachers at the moment, I didn't know, but through that relationship, it forced me into making changes, because I didn't want to go through something like that again.
What kind of changes did you make then?
Fulfilling me, being happy with me, learning what was missing from me, taking time to be intimate with myself. From that relationship, I stayed single for over 4 years, just learning what gave me joy, healing that inner child, practicing self-care. That was a huge one for me. Business owner, always giving. Now I've cultivated an image of somebody who is a business owner who does this or that. But I was always depleted. When I had my restaurant, the moment that a staff member was sick or not showing up, I wouldn't go to yoga. Something from that gave me joy, I automatically took it away and gave it to my business. So I had no balance, no balance.
You just drained yourself pretty much.
Absolutely. For what? For success, for what we think that a life should look like, going on vacation, having a big house. It's all a charade. And it's so easy to get caught up in that, right? True wealth is freedom of time, good health, and how you choose to spend that time doing the things that you love with the people that you love and care about. And I understand that, yes, your needs, your financial needs need to be taken care of. But if I could go back to the 31-year-old me, I would take my son in my arms and I would hold him and I would make sure that I'm at his school play, because that would have been a better memory, a better feeling than getting a Nintendo or one of those Game Boys. The older, wiser version of me knows that without a doubt.
Yeah, and that brings me to, like, Christmas is coming up, right? So my kids are, they're 11 and 13, almost 14. So they already know that I'm gonna get them like one thing, and then after that, it's, we're gonna do something like exciting. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, like, exactly what you're saying. It's that moment, it's the experience that you have that you're gonna remember, not the toy that you're gonna open up and play with for 5 minutes and put it away.
Mm.
Yeah. So what kind of things did you do to do self-care and make yourself better for those 4 years that you were just by yourself?
Well, they say when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So I came across an ad on Facebook for Kundalini yoga. I mean,
Okay.
I was already practicing self-care because I was mentally exhausted. I was going out for nature walks. That was huge. Being out in nature, moving my body, walking in nature, as I said. And then I came across a Facebook ad for Kundalini yoga. And I thought, okay, I love yoga. I'm going to try this yoga. And that was it. I was hooked. I was hooked. Like after the first session, I was hooked. It was just something that it provoked in me. And the style of yoga, it can be very physical, almost like a martial arts. And I really love that. But it's called the yoga of awakening, Kundalini yoga. And it just made me slow down. And man, in no time, I stopped looking for external things and just started to go within, and emotions started to come up. And, I didn't brush them off. I mean, I was already doing some healing and paying attention to other healers and following them. And when these emotions would come up, I learned not to judge them, not to push them away, but just let them come up and digest them, because your body has that own natural intelligence. And if you allow it, it will heal itself, right? But it's putting your mind in that space to feel safe to do that. So Kundalini yoga, yeah, just shaking up that soda bottle and just allowing it to kind of just settle into calmness. Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know what this is. I know what yoga is. So if you don't mind just sharing a little bit how different it is, if it is much different than just regular yoga. And, I just want to also come back to, it is funny how things show up and they present themselves to help you, right? And you're not even looking sometimes, but then you start to look at it and you go, you know what is that? Let me try that out. Let me see if this works. And I say this for example because I do meditate like 10 minutes a day in the morning. Is it a deep meditation? No. But sometimes you hit that moment and you just feel like you're whole, you're at peace, and you smile, and it's life, man. You just enjoy it. Yeah, so that's my little take on what I do a little bit. But what is Kundalini, if I pronounce
Kundalini
it? Yeah,
yoga.
there
Yeah.
you go.
Kundalini yoga is a yoga, as I said, of awakening. It focuses on a lot of breath work around your navel center, right? You know, that umbilical cord where we're attached, that is your power center, right? So through a lot of breath work, right? We use that breath work to awaken our Kundalini. And mythologically, it's that energy is dormant at the base of your spine. But through that breath work, you awaken it. You get that energy to come to flow up the spine, the energy center, because down here, your lower energy center is your survival center, the me, where the ego, you only think about yourself. You have to move your consciousness up the spine through the heart. And once it comes through the heart, that's when you, okay, we're one vibration. Everything is connected. And you just see life differently. I see you as my brother, whereas if I'm in that, my energy is stuck down here, well, you're just a guy. But we're all connected. And once you can get that energy to rise through your heart, through your throat, up to here, the third eye, you're connecting with a greater consciousness. And I don't know if that gives you an explanation or if it's a little bit etheric, but it is a yoga that, I mean, a lot of people think that yoga is passive. Kundalini, there's a lot of meditation, a lot of breath work, but it can be very physical. It really shakes it up. And I would encourage anybody that feels stuck or has had a lot of trauma. I mean, as a woman of color, I think all Black women should do Kundalini yoga, that we're so laden with trauma that this is something that can get to, you know, your tissues because of the movement and the breath work that you do to loosen it up, right? And to say, hey, this is not you. This is just generational. This is societal. And that's what Kundalini does. It shakes it up. But you got to be prepared for it. That's why it is labeled the yoga, one of the most dangerous yoga, because it works fast. But if nothing else speaks to you, once you do Kundalini yoga, you feel more energy, you feel more happy, you feel more connected, you have better relationships, you have more energy to get your tasks done. You just feel good in your body. So if feeling good in your body is important, then I highly recommend this yoga. Because if you feel good, you're going to do good.
That's awesome. And so how long does somebody or should somebody do this for?
Oh man, that's up to you. But I get on my mat when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm thankful, when I'm feeling lack, because it keeps me in a space of movement. I'm human. I get stuck, right? But through the Kundalini practice, I don't get stuck as long. You know, we're still a human on planet Earth, and life is challenging here. So it's not like it's going to take away all your troubles. It's a tool to deal with those troubles that life has to offer.
Yeah. It allows you to be you. Can I say that?
It allows you to be a better version of you.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to just
truly are.
I'm gonna have to look it up because he just got me curious. You know,
Why don't you come to my class tomorrow morning?
See. I'll have to look it up because you got me curious. And you know, if it's just something that you're moving around for, just say 10 minutes, whatever, something totally different, just to try it out, right? And just to see what it does, not just for me, but for whoever else is listening and wants to try something new to see if it works for them. Because, like you said, you came across this, and it's not always the first thing that you might find that is going to help you. But if you do multiple things and you stick to it for a little bit, and then that one thing will probably click. So I appreciate sharing this. So you do classes. Is this online then?
I do classes online. I actually fell in love with it so much. Well, I didn't fall in love with it. I saw what it did. with my trauma, how it loosened the grip on my trauma, not making the stupid mistakes that I was making. And I saw the need for this to share it with my community. And one of the things that I want to do I'm going through the teacher training in Kundalini yoga right now. I want to teach this technique to men of color that are incarcerated. That's how much I believe in this, because once you can liberate the mind from the tendencies that, you know, we've inherited, we've lived, your life changes. And that's what Kundalini does. If you can shift your energy through the breath work, you change your life. And because you're behind bars doesn't mean that your life is over. You can still have a great life, right? If you tap into liberating the mind, because the body is just a terrain of the mind. And that's what I love about Kundalini yoga, right? You're using your mind and your body at once. So the results are like very, very fast.
All right. I'll try and give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Oh boy. And so then you mentioned you had like a skincare business or
Oh, yes. When I started the self-care, I've always been, you know, a holistic type of girl, like that one tool that serves many purposes, like my yoga and magnesium. I was a chef, always on my feet, tired, you know, like when you're chopping. And, you know, I started to research magnesium as I was getting older. And I saw that, you know, so many people are depleted because we used to get magnesium from our food, right? But we know that, you know, with the soil is not as rich and food has so much chemicals. So I was looking and I couldn't find. And, you know, I came across a recipe for topical magnesium, which is better. So I have a skincare line, Omax Magnesium. I have it in a few different formulations, but this is topical. So you apply it to the soles of your feet for like better sleep. You need very little. It's moisture rich, shea, mango, kokum. These are ingredients that you can pronounce. Essential oil, so fabulous for sleep. Because how many of you feel like you get enough sleep, right? Magnesium is the master mineral for that, and for aches, pains. And as we get older, we have to strengthen our bones, right? Because when we fall and we hurt ourselves, we're more fragile to crack. But not only that, magnesium is so powerful. I think it's responsible for hundreds of functions in the body, including relaxation of the mind. And ironically enough, when you are under stress, what happens? Your magnesium level is probably depleted. And that's the one thing that keeps you calm, right? So yeah, check it out. That's another thing that I encourage your listeners to do is check out magnesium. But what I love about my magnesium and my products is it's topical, because sometimes you take magnesium and if you have like a sensitive digestive system, I know like a brand of Calm, if you take too much, it can cause you to have loose stools and stuff like that. But also when it's topical, quicker, absorbs into the skin a lot quicker.
So what you just shared with us, that for sore muscles and stuff as well, not just sleep.
Sore muscles, like I have this product in a lot of gyms, and you know those buff guys on leg days that do those leg workouts and they can't walk. This waitresses at the end of the day, or healthcare workers, you know, like I used to be in that situation, right? When I ran my restaurant, I felt like my feet doubled the size at the end of my shift. Magnesium just kind of sucks that tension out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I've come across recently is how beneficial magnesium is with diabetics and maintaining your insulin level. So it really is the master mineral.
Yeah, it's come up a lot lately. I maybe probably for me more than just mainstream, but there's a whole bunch of different magnesium. I don't know what you want to call it. Different different kinds of magnesium that do different things. Does that sound about right? I mean, I think there's a bunch of them out there.
Yes.
Yeah. So is this like one specific type of magnesium that actually like heals your aches and pains and helps you sleep better?
Well, I would just say get a good quality magnesium. I think off the top of my head, the dose for a man is about 400, I think milligrams. For women is slightly less. So just get a good concentration, and whether it's magnesium brine or chloride, do your research, because that's one thing that I've learned is, don't take my word, do your research. Nobody knows your body better than you. And even though you might not be an expert, once you start looking, you will find the information. So do your own due diligence and find what works for you, because the information is out there. I mean, more often than not now, we have too much information. So that's where you have to apply your intelligence, your wisdom to that information.
Right. And so trying magnesium for the first time, do it over time for a little bit to see if it works for you, whether it's your stuff or somebody else's stuff, and see if it changes anything. Um,
Yeah,
Typically, how long would you say to try it out for to see the difference in it?
great question. And it's going to differ with everyone, because here's the thing: if you smoke, if you drink, you're more depleted in magnesium. If you are someone that's relatively healthy, I think within a couple of weeks, you should see big improvements in your energy, in how your skin stays. What I love about Omax, because it's topical, it's hydration for your skin, right? But yeah, a healthy individual should see a difference, within a couple of weeks, right? But pay attention to the subtleties, because subtleties could be like, okay, am I more focused? Can I say that I'm going to do something and actually execute the task? Little subtleties, right? And then there are big things like, okay, as I mentioned, I've just done that workout. I have an ache, pain. I can put it on, and right away I feel easement, right? So there is nuances to magnesium, and you have to understand what is it that you are looking for to better, the quality of your life.
So, as a man, if I'm looking for more discipline, I should give it a shot then, right? uh, so what? I think you mentioned you do something else too, right? Is it with food and stuff, or
I'm a chef by trade, and I really encourage, when I work with people, I really encourage people to go back to the natural flavors of food. And it's understanding that food has its own natural flavor, and we lose our sensitivity to food with over salt, over sugar, over spice. We need those are three. We have different taste buds: salty, spicy, astringent, bitter. We need all of it, right? And for the palate to feel satisfied and come alive, you need a little bit of each. But unfortunately, in today's food, because salt is cheap, right? So we have a lot of sodium in our food to give flavor. Spice is another thing too that can dull you, and spice, too much spice can give you digestive issues as well, ulcers and all of that. So coming back to the natural flavors of food. If you want sweet, roast a sweet potato, grill or roast a piece of salmon, add some salsa there. And if you want a little spice, some cilantro, some mango, some lime juice. Be colorful with your food. And one other thing that I'm very, very passionate about is when you cook your food. Yes, cook your food. Cook a meal every now and then with your family. It's a great way to bond. And when you cook food with your family, your kids are more likely to try something because they've prepared it. They've had a hand in it, right? There's more connection. Be present with your food. Don't be like, be present. You give a different frequency, you give a different energy, right? Have color, have variety, you know, cook what is in season. You know, now the squashes, the Brussels sprouts, you know, nature gave us food this way because there's a reason. Our body needs these heavier foods in the winter, the pumpkins and all of that. Roast them, you know, put some maple syrup on them, you know, experiment. So what if it doesn't turn out the way you expect? Make the adjustment. That's life. We can live our life through food by experimenting. And if it doesn't go the way that, don't give up. Just try again. Learn from it and then apply what you've learned. But yes, as a former chef, cook your food every now and then.
That's great. You know what I appreciate about this is you came on and you shared all these different areas in your life of how you discovered yourself to serve others. Food, with the magnesium, and even just going through the relationships and stuff and coming back through that too. And the yoga. You can't forget the yoga, right? How does somebody connect with you, Max?
How does someone connect with me? Well, my name is very unique. I don't think there's too many Maxine Willocks, and there I have Yoga with Max. So on Facebook, I am the Maxine, Maxine .Willocks, Willocks. On Instagram, at Maxine Willocks. And then my website is Omax, which is this baby, Omax 3M. 3M is the master mineral. Omax 3M, myshopify.com. And I know I've totally ruined that, but I am getting better at marketing myself. But I truly believe that when you serve, you know, there is a reciprocity that comes your way. So I don't even focus so much on that. I just believe in putting out there what I've learned, and whoever needs to hear it will take away from it. And if you don't need to hear it, then that's okay. That's fine. I'm not here to serve everyone, but I'm here to share what I've experienced. And there's no shame, because I used to be ashamed before. I used to be that kind of person that, you know, my life has to look like this. This is what society has to be like. But no, we need to break the barriers with that. And that's how, you know, liberation starts, is by connecting to your own beat, not what everybody else say you should look like and feel like and think like.
That's great. And that's exactly why I have it as life's check mark, because it's your life, not somebody else's. So one question for you is, what are 3 key things you've learned and used along your journey?
Oh my God, 3 things that I have learned. That you have it within you, but it takes courage to bring it out of you. Love is the answer. Love is not weak. Love is strong. Love is the most courageous thing that you can give yourself. When help is offered, take it and ask for it.
Awesome. They're great. You know, I again, I appreciate you coming on, being open, honest, and sharing everything that you shared with us. So thank you, Max.
The time has just flown by, and thank you for having this space of being a healthy masculine energy. We need both the masculine and the feminine. And Merry Christmas, happy holidays, my brother. God bless.
Thank you. You too.
All right.